Yo, what's up guys? Today we're gonna do a 25% race against the 110% AI. And as you can see on the top right, I am brushing the sweat off my hands because we have a hand cam in the top right. So today we're just gonna go against the 110% AI, starting from 19th Bortoleto in the Audi at Bahrain on the F126 DLC 2026 season pack. I'm not gonna try and talk too much. But I just want to go through what I'm doing here, give you guys some tips on the controller, and who knows, maybe you guys can learn something from it. You will also see me get to grips with the new regulations and the battery, and me trying to LICO everywhere, lift and coast everywhere. But as you can see on the top right, straight away, for the first thing that I'm gonna give as a tip is, as we go down the inside here, is push the stick forward. Now, for me it made quite a lot of sense to put the sticks forward, but I have heard that some people don't realize that pushing the stick forward and then steering makes for a lot of precision, so it's a lot better to be able to push the stick forward. Even on the straight, I'm pushing the stick forward. So I can be more precise. It's not a GTA car where you can just turn the steering wheel immediately, you know. So that's the first thing. Push the stick forward. And as you can see on the top right, my thumb is shaking. And my hands... Alright, my hands can shake pretty quickly. However, I think that's just a vibration. And it's also me shaking the steering wheel as well, to find the grip, I guess, and find what is possible, especially if you are steering so little. As you can see in the top right, my steering has to be very smooth, and it doesn't feel like I'm shaking, but when I look back at the hand cam, it's shaking. I've done it one hand cam before, and it was definitely shaking. You can also see on the right hand side, I have no assists, by the way, if you didn't realize that. And you can see me switch the battery on and off with my right thumbstick. Now, I have just uploaded a settings video. If you want to go ahead and watch that, you can view that after the video, where you can see my button mapping. This is how I like to do it now. There's probably more ways. I might be able to... Nah, I actually think this is for me right now the best way, because I don't want to get my left thumb off my left stick. You know, I could make a shortcut for those 3 buttons, but I don't want to get my left thumb off the steering wheel, because you have to get to the steering wheel again. As you can see, me brush off some sweaty hands. Yes, I call myself a sweat because I actually sweat. As you can see if you look very closely on the controller. Yeah, you have to manage to sometimes clean it a little bit, but that's part of the job. As we have moved up to 10th spot, by the way. 110% AI has definitely gotten a lot quicker. But as you can see on the left stick, that's how we use the left stick. Pretty much always use it forward. And with the right hand, as you can see me switch the battery on and off. That's basically how I do it. I also shift, of course, with my cross and the square. Yeah, in the bottom right you can see the ERS deployment, what we are doing, the strategy. We're trying to LICO, go into medium and then overtake. It seemed to work well against AI here, because we're already up to 10th spot. Now we're not really making up that much here. You can see me try to LICO even more, but then you cannot really see it that well, but also on the you can see my throttle and my braking input. That's what I want to talk about. Now, a lot of you have been asking for tips for throttle input and braking input. Of course, when you here see the braking, you're gonna see me try and trail brake. Now, there's one thing that I can still really improve on, and I think that's where the most of the time is in my driving, is my braking input is sometimes, as you can see here, it's like shocking around. It's not, if you look at the esporters, it is really stable. My throttle input is very stable usually, but if I look at my braking input, it is really shockery. It's moving around a lot. I guess I'm trying to find the limit here. This was much better, as you could see in the bottom of your screen, as we're trying to line up a move against the AI. We had to dip out of it there. Almost lost the front wing.
Okay, watch the aggression, please. We don't want to lose places because of a penalty.
But yeah, so the smoothness on braking is definitely something I still have to improve. That is a weakness of mine. And I'm working on it, and I'm getting better and better at it. But that's the one thing that I always look back on, and I see that it's not great for me. It's also because when I get tense, my adrenaline kicks in. Even though it's just an AI race, I didn't feel that tense compared to a league race. But I guess I'm still tense, because if I'm not tense, I can very much more easily be smooth on the braking. You can see the shockery, especially when you are 10% braking. And that's a lot of time you can find if you are able to really be able to 5% brake. You can see that. Just a tiny tap on the brakes. That's really good. So then the throttle input. As I said, I'm not really struggling with throttle. That's, I think, one of my strong points, is being on the throttle and finding traction. It's also on the controller quite easy. See me throttle jump. That's something I learned quite recently, I would say, less than a half year ago. Throttle jumping, I thought you had always had to be very smooth. But let's take a look at this exit. I go down into second, so it might be different. But we throttle jump all the way to 50 straight away. And then we gradually go up the gears as we move up to third position here. Great job, but we're out of battery. So yeah, as you can see here, in third gear I am able to throttle jump more, obviously. But as you can see here, go onto the throttle. Sometimes you can even go to 80-90%, especially in the high speed corners. I still like to use second gear, because I feel like in this game it gives you a much better drive. Sometimes I have used third gear. You can still see the braking that I was talking about, so shockery. But yeah, I am also without any assist, so I am also opening the straight mode every time. So far I have honestly not had any problems with it. I've heard some people suggest that you can turn on the assist for that. I really have no problem with it. Even, as you can see, upshifting and doing it seems to work fine. Now I must say that there are some places where you sometimes want to upshift and straight mode and turn the battery down, and that is something that you can see I'm doing so much on the battery. And this is me looking backwards as well, by the way. Because I like to look backwards with the right stick. I like to be able to look backwards to see what my opponent is doing. And I don't like the rear view mirror. That's a little bit too much. I like looking backwards like this. I have full control. And that's basically how I run the settings in here. So that's how I'm doing. I'm still here trying to figure out the best ERS thread. We are able to keep the AI behind though, and able to gap the rest of the field a little bit. Let's see if we can close the gap to Piastri and Russell up front. But yeah, so that's the throttle input, the braking input, as we lose the rear there a little bit. Then for trail braking, I always hear questions, how do you get better at it? I am planning to make another video about turning off the assists. How you do that, because I think a lot of people are just here to watch the Handcam and maybe the gameplay, but not really to hear me talk. So I'm gonna make another video to turn off the assists. But yeah, while we're here, I might as well try and give you some tips, you know. For trail braking, at the start when I tried to learn it, first you need to understand what it is. Trail braking, when you fully hit the brakes, when you are going straight, you can fully hit the brakes. The reason for trail braking is also because the more you approach the apex in the corner, the less steering lock, or the more steering you will have in the wheel. As you can see, the wheel is more rotated. And the more the wheel is rotated, the more easily the tires get locked. And also, the slower you're going, especially the slower you're going, I think that's the main thing actually. So if you're going really slowly, for example, if you are driving a bicycle, I'm from the Netherlands, if you're driving a bicycle, then if you brake the bicycle, if you hit the brakes on the bicycle when you're just on walking pace, you are able to lock the tire. The wheel will stop moving. And if you're going fast enough, you can go fully on the brakes and you will not lock it. That's basically how it works in a car with the braking mechanism. So if you go too slowly, you cannot hit the brakes too hard. You will lock the tires. So how do we learn this? We of course hit full brakes going into the corner, and then we slowly, gradually release the brakes going into the corner. And this will why you need to be able to learn. I'm gonna fully mess up this braking point, by the way. Why you need to learn how to trail brake as well. And I was just talking about that 10% braking input. Whenever you have a corner, I have once learned, like I'm not a racing driver, I've once learned for racing, it is always the fastest to either be on throttle or on braking. I don't know if that's actually true. I've just heard it once in one video. I'm not a pro. I don't really know what I'm talking about. I just like playing this game, and I'm alright at the controller, I would say. But the reason for that, the thinking behind it is, if you have a corner where you're going, let's say I release the brakes earlier and I just let the car slide. Like this is, for example, when I'm lifting, it is also to regain the battery. But in terms of just pace, if you release the brakes, let's say in a corner where you are going really slow compared to not braking at all, the braking will put extra weight to the rear of the car, making you rotate more when you are steering. And that is why the braking and trail braking helps. That's why it's faster. That's why it works in racing that way, because of the weight that it brings to the rear of the car, which is why the car will turn in more, and then you can get on the exit on the power. So that's basically trail braking that I can explain for you guys. Now I think I can also go into how I turn off the assist, but
Nico's into the pits. Nico in the pits.
We're gonna see here if we have made an undercut. Doesn't really look like it, as we are still 4.4 seconds behind Piastri. So we're still not really nailing the ERS thread, as there is definitely something that those guys should be doing that are better. But at least we went from 18th already to 3rd, and perhaps those guys can fight and we have a chance for the end of this race, as it's almost the last to first on the 110 AI, which is a lot better this year, which I have already noticed. Now we will still have to wait and find out, because perhaps it is not that great if you actually learn how to use the battery. Also, I'm using a setup. I'm using the time trial setup here. It is a little bit different from the time trial setup. A little lower wings, but mostly it is exactly the same. Just trying to look at the top right. One thing that comes to my mind is also sometimes people, and what I used to really struggle with is consistency. I also always used to struggle with consistency. I also always used to say that is a weakness of controller. Consistency is a weakness of controller. I'm not sure if that's actually true. It doesn't really matter, because if it's a weakness of controller, it's just an excuse, you know. We still have to try and get better, and I've gotten a lot better at it. it's because I am really used to playing a lot of time trial. You know it from my videos already. And that was always the case. I always loved time trial. I always just couldn't stop as well, because I just wanted to get that lap in, you know. And in time trial you are always full push, of course. Especially if you're going for that one lap. You know, every corner has to be perfect. So every corner needs to be perfection. That's the goal. But in a race, every corner doesn't need to be perfect, because if you're going for perfection every corner, then you will make mistakes. So I really have found out that I used to not really realize that there is just 2 racing modes you should put in your own mind of how you race. And that's quali mode and that's racing mode. And now you probably also have saving mode. But as I'm saying, in the race you have to always be just under the limit so you get it right. And here we still miss the apex, you know. It's, you know, there's always mistakes. There's always tiny mistakes, but as you get better, mistakes hopefully will get a little bit smaller. But as you brake a little bit earlier than the perfect braking point, you get onto the throttle a little bit easier. I've learned it from the esporters that made tip videos. They were saying, alright, if you are in a race, you should approach it like you are racing at 80%. I'd rather be at 90%, but it's just whatever works for you. If you are always driving at 120%, maybe you should think in your mind that you're racing at 50%. But the thinking is to be consistent, be smooth, be slow, be a little bit under the limit, and then you will be a lot better off. Be a little bit more cool. I think especially in this game it's going to be very important to be cool, light-headed, not let other people's battery you know, dictate your battery usage, because it's really easy if you see someone pressuring you from behind that you just turn on the battery and then you don't have battery anymore. It's really something for this game that will show the strategists inside us that are good at this. They will excel at this game probably. So if you like that, then you will have fun in this game. Now people don't like that. That's what racing has come to be about in Formula 1 right now, but maybe in the future it will change back again. I do like some strategy, so I'm trying to find the way. I'm just trying to make it fun for myself, trying to look at it in a positive light. You can always keep complaining about everything, but that's not gonna bring me further. I am gonna play this game for the rest of the year probably. So I'm just gonna see the fun in it, and I also want to learn it. So I think if you get it down, if you understand it a little bit more, you know, it will be fine. If you understand how it works and you win races, then certainly you're still having fun. So so yeah, that's consistency for racing. As I would explain it. It looks like we're just gonna slot into this third position. We are gaining a little bit on Piastri and Russell as well, I think, but we're pretty similar in terms of pace. As I'm trying to... Unfortunately, I recorded it already with my Handcam in the screen, so I put a little bit too high to see the lap times, but I just did a 30.8 and I did a 30.7. I will show you the lap times at the end of this video, by the way, in the race director. In these last couple of laps I was able to find some consistency. I did, I think, 30.7, 30.8 and another 0.7. As of course, we also got a little bit used to the track, a little bit used to the ERS track, what is working, what is not. As we get another warning. And we get a little bit more light-headed, and you will also see that in my braking. You can always see that in my braking. Now, in this game, I can quickly talk about the ERS management as well, because it's such a big thing. what I have found in this race, what worked really well was just the push of the overtake button most exits, because it just gives you so much, you know. Then a little lift and then a Lyco in the corner. And I tried to use none. Here you can see I used quite a lot of battery compared to... I am on a little bit too low battery, so I just lift and coast a little bit more into the last corner, so we have this main straight. And now we can turn it off early, but I thought we're just gonna have a huge braking point coming up. I'm just gonna go mega Lyco in here, as you can see here. Very early on the Lyco, and you can see how much battery we regain. Up to 40% already. We just have to get through these two straights, and then we can go big Lyco again in the middle sector. But as you can see, we still are gonna be able to get the lap down. It's also the last lap, so obviously we're gonna try to empty that shit. As you can see, below the percentage there's a little tire with a red circle around it. That is your harvest. That is your regaining the battery. And it fills up every time you're braking, every time you're harvesting the battery. As you can see here, me using the battery has gained me so much time compared to Piastri and Russell. Obviously using the battery, so that's why it's really, because it's so important to be lightheaded. You think I'm not gonna use the battery, and then you don't have the battery anymore. And you can see how powerful that battery is. We come so close, even though we are running at 0% here. Now we are at 0%, we're just gonna lose a bunch of time, as you can see in the top right. But as you can see, we did very well, because the tire is fully red, which means that we harvested everything we can during a lap. And that should be your aim. Nonetheless, I hope you guys learned something from it. If you did, smash that like button and subscribe. Now, if you want to know what the best controller settings for the F1 26 DLC are, the video is in your screen right now. Go ahead and watch it. I'll see you guys next time.